Hey dudes, welcome to Splat from the Past, the only 80s themed horror and sci-fi show where things can get totally radical. Now today I will be welcoming one of the great character actors of 80s and 90s movies. I've been hoping to find him for a long time, and I did, and I can't wait to have him on today, the great Stoney Jackson. You all know him as the lead singer of the doo-wop group in Walter Hill's Streets of Fire. It's also in Walter Hill's Trespass, a greatly underrated action movie. He was also in Michael Jackson's Beat It video. He was in the classic teen sex comedy movie Jocks, as well as the rap movie Knights of the City. He was on the last season of 227. I mean, he's got a lot of credits that are great that I want to talk to him about, and I'm really looking forward to it. I just can't wait. I am just so spoiled on this show with all the great guests I get. I'm just a very lucky guy. I'm the happiest fanboy in the whole wide world. So, here is my interview with Stoney Jackson. Hey, Stoney.
Hey, Stoney. Hey there, man.
Welcome to the show. How are you, sir?
How are you? What did you say?
I said, welcome to the show. How are you, sir?
How are you, sir? Oh, I'm doing well. Am I on already?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. All right. Thank you for having me on the show. I appreciate it.
Oh, absolutely. This is such a great honor. Thank you for taking the time today. And my voice is echoing, by the way.
Is that what you're hearing on your end?
I think I'm hearing it from your end.
Your end. Oh, okay. Let me see. I'll take out the ear. Any better?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's good.
All right. Sorry about that.
Oh, it's okay. So, going back in time, did you gravitate toward acting early on in your childhood?
Yeah, I did. I knew really early that I wanted to do it. I used to watch shows like Leave It to Beaver, and I would see commercials on television when I was a little kid, and I was like, I can do that. I want to do that. So eventually I was able to do that.
You did a lot of school plays and community theater?
No, not really. I did one play when I was in elementary school. I don't remember having a big part in it. I do remember playing a tree. And I think I did one play in high school, and that was it.
And you're born in Virginia?
Yes.
But you were raised in L.A.?
Well, I was born in Virginia. I lived there till I was about, 12, 13.
Yeah.
No, let's say 11, maybe 11. And then my dad wanted to go to med school.
Yeah.
And so we ended up moving to Charlottesville, where he went to the University of Virginia. And we were there for a couple of years. And then during that time, the United States Navy was paying for people's education if they were joining the Navy. So my dad was a med student. And then the Navy said, okay, we'll make you an officer if you join the Navy, and we'll pay for your education. So he ended up joining the Navy, so we got to travel around a little bit.
Huh.
And then we ultimately ended up in Pensacola, Florida, where he was stationed, and he was, I'm trying to think of his rank. He had a pretty good rank, so we had started moving up. And lived in Pensacola, Florida. And then what happened was we were given a chance to go to 3 different places for his next assignment. Mm-hmm. And the choices were the Philippines, Rota, Spain, or Long Beach. And I was a teenager, and I was like, let's go to California, because I knew that's where you needed to be to be an actor. And it was a tough choice because, you know, I wanted to go live outside the country as well. But I was like, okay, that's the best thing. Let's go to California. And so my dad was like, okay, we'll go to California. And that's how we ended up in California.
Yeah, you never wanted to go to New York and be a quote-unquote artist actor, right?
No. At that time, I didn't even really know about that. Mm-hmm. When I was a teenager.
Yeah, this is right before.
All I knew was needed to be in California, Hollywood.
Yeah.
An actor. Yeah.
Yeah, this is before anybody in California really knew about the actor studio and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. Came later. Yeah. So did you study acting with any prominent teachers out in L.A.?
No. I thought that was the thing you needed to do. Mm-hmm. And I had a recurring role on Eight Is Enough. Mm-hmm. And I was working with Dick Van Patten. And I remember one day on the set, he was just talking, and he was saying something about he never went to acting school at all these schools because he thought, you know, all these people were taking, you know, these actors' money, making them think they need to go to these acting schools. I mean, this was what he was saying.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I'm a young guy, teenager, and I'm on the show and I'm listening to him, and he's like, I never went to any acting schools. I just, you got to, you don't. So I was like, wow. So I just kind of like listened to him, and I never really went to any acting classes. I actually had a lot of friends, you know, of course, when you're an actor and you're in the business and you're going on auditions, you meet so many people. Mm-hmm. And you meet a lot of people, they become your friends, and then you see a lot of them are going to acting classes, and they'll try to talk you into coming to the acting classes with them and joining. And I actually went and sat in on a few with some different friends of mine. Mm-hmm. And I sat in the back and watched them all do their exercises and do their scene studies and then their scene partner work and stuff. And I was like, oh, this is just not for me. So I never did it.
Wow. So in a way, Dick Van Patten was a mentor to you.
I would say, yeah, somewhat.
Wow. Did you know his sons?
Yes.
Timothy and
I know
Vincent?
The whole family.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I ended up, one of my very first movies that I ever did was called Roller Boogie.
Right.
I was with Linda Blair.
Right.
And Jimmy Van Patten, who is actually, let's see, Timothy Van Patten, who I worked on The White Shadow with, mm-hmm. is actually Dick's brother. A lot of people didn't know this.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
Yeah. Timmy was really young, and Dick was really old. And they were actually brothers.
Yeah.
And Timmy was Jimmy's uncle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right.
And Jimmy was older than Timothy.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I was really good friends with Jimmy because we did that movie Roller Boogie together, and we spent like 3 to 4 months together, and then, you know, we maintained a friendship after that, and I knew, you know, Dick from doing Eight Is Enough, and knew Jimmy, and, you know, I met Nels and Vincent. Mm-hmm. I was always like a fan of Vincent's because Vincent used to do a TV series a long time ago. I think it was called Free for the Road. Mm-hmm. It was a really cool TV show. And he played tennis. I was a tennis player, so I used to go over to Vincent's house all the time, mm-hmm. hit the balls with Jimmy, and sometimes I would hit with Vincent. Sometimes I would hit with Nels, but I was over there like all the time out in Sherman Oaks at Vincent's house. He had a tennis court at his house because he was playing pro tennis at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time with the Van Patten family.
Oh, that's cool. That's really cool. Yeah, that's.
You know, what was really also cool is Mara used to be over there a lot. So I used to run into her and see her over there all the time too.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Roller Boogie was like the first big part that you had in the movies, right?
Let me see. Actually, I think it may have been my second feature film that I did. I had a part in a movie called Airport 79, The Concorde.
Oh, yeah.
And that was like my first feature film. Now, although I worked on the movie throughout the entire thing, I didn't really have a big part. But because I was on the plane, you know, everybody has to be there all the time. So
yeah,
I worked a lot on that movie, but I didn't have a really big part in it or anything.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, just because I was one of the passengers on the plane, I had to be there all the time. So that was my first movie, and I think Roller Boogie was my second movie. But that was a movie that I actually had a good meaty role in it.
Yeah. Did you have to do a ton of roller skating for it?
Oh, every day.
Mm-hmm.
Every day.
Lots of practice.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was awesome. And you know who I used to be a huge fan of it, Lost in Space.
Yeah. Don't mummy.
One of the characters on the show, the actor that played, I think his name was Don West on the show.
Yeah.
The actor's name was Mark Goddard, and he actually was the one that directed Roller Boogie. So Lost in Space, when I was a kid, before I even came to California, was huge. That was like one of my favorite shows, and still is to this day. And I got to work with Mark Goddard, who played Don West on Lost in Space. So I was like, man, I just thought I was in the best place I could possibly ever be.
So then it wasn't Mark Lester who directed?
I'm sorry?
So it wasn't Mark Lester who directed?
I mean, that's who directed. Yeah, Mark Lester.
Okay. Yeah. How was he as a director?
Mark Lester, he was cool. He was a nice guy. I got along with him great.
Yeah. I've directed a couple of people who worked with him on Class of 1984. They have a different story, unfortunately, but...
I never had any problem with the guy, but yeah, I had heard things too.
Yeah. So that was just...
that movie came years after Roller Boogie.
Mm-hmm. 82 it came out.
Yeah.
So then you joined the cast of The White Shadow. How did that come about?
The White Shadow. Well, let me see. I had done like a bunch of guest star roles on TV. Did Roller Boogie, and then I got picked up by Right On magazine, which was a pretty big, popular magazine in the black community back in those days. And so got picked up in there, and then the guy who owned Lawford Publications owned that magazine, as well as like Tiger Beat and 16 and Super 16, or in all of those teeny bopper magazines back in the day. Mm. And the guy liked me, and he told all the editors of the magazines, of his magazines, that he wanted me to be in all the magazines that they had. So I crossed over into Tiger Beat and all those other magazines that he had. And I was pretty much the only black person who was in those magazines. You know, with Scott Bale and all those guys like that. Who I want to say, the Cassidy Boys. I mean,
Leif Garrett.
Huge back then.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I kind of got popular from being in those magazines. So when I went to audition for The White Shadow, I did not know that the producers of that show knew who I was based off of those magazines. So it helped me a lot get cast in the show. Unfortunately, there were some actors on the show that were kind of jealous of that. Didn't treat me very well when I got there. So that particular show was not a good experience for me. I really didn't like it at all. And that was that.
Wow. Was Ken Howard nice to you?
Ken Howard was not particularly mean, but he was not particularly nice either. He and I actually became good friends years after that show was over. Mm-hmm. He and I had run into each other at a celebrity golf tournament. Mm-hmm. And when we were finished golfing, we all have to meet in, like the big banquet room or whatever, because they give out awards for, who did what on the course that day. Mm-hmm. And so I sat out with Ken, and we sat down and we just talked and talked and talked. And I think we golfed together that day too. I think he was in my group. And so we talked. And I told him one day, I said, man, you weren't very nice, man. He goes, yeah, I know. He goes, those days are long gone. But he goes, yeah, I know. And he was one of the nicest men I'd ever met. And we just got along great.
Wow.
But during the show, he didn't go out of his way to be mean, but, he wasn't really, attentive or engaging. Let's use that word more so than attentive. He wasn't really engaging, but he wasn't never mean to me. But he just, wasn't an engaging guy. He just pretty much stayed to himself and did his thing. So.
Yeah, when you get on a hit series sometimes and you've been struggling your whole career, your ego kind of gets big, and then like people around you are telling you how great you are and stuff. It's a really weird scenario.
That can happen. I've seen it happen to plenty of people, but I've also seen a lot of people who are completely not like that.
Mm-hmm. A lot more down to earth, a lot more humble and all that.
Oh, yeah. People like Burt Reynolds, Dom DeLuise, I became good friends with Dom DeLuise. Mm-hmm. And one day I was doing a TV series called The Insiders.
Right.
And Dom was on the lot at Universal shooting, I think it was Murder, She Wrote, or one of those shows where you bring guest stars in, like big guest stars. Mm-hmm. And every morning when I would come in, we would get call sheets for all of the productions that are going on the Universal lot that day. Right. So I would always get my copy, and I'd look to see who was on the lot that day. And then I saw Dom's name as he was shooting. He was a guest star along with Burt Reynolds. And I'm like, oh my God, Burt Reynolds. I was a huge Burt Reynolds fan.
Yeah.
And Lonnie Anderson was also in that episode. Or maybe she wasn't in the episode, but I know she was with Burt at the time. And anyway, mm-hmm. I got a hold of Dom while I was on the set, and I said, hey, Dom, I'm here. I'm shooting my show. And he goes, hey, come on by. So I went over to his dressing room, and I said, man, I really want to meet Burt Reynolds. He goes, are you kidding? I said, no. So he took me over to Burt's cabin mm-hmm. on the lot, and he knocked on the door. Burt came to the door, and Dom told him, so Dom, Burt, I got one of your biggest fans here. And then the dude came out and just gave me the biggest hug, man. Burt Reynolds. Oh, my God. The dude was so freaking cool. So he goes, come on in. So I go in. Lonnie Anderson's in there. Robert, what was the guy's name? Robert that did Vegas.
Robert Urich.
Robert Urich, yeah. He was sitting in there. So it was just me, him, Dom, Robert, and Lonnie.
Oh, man.
And he invited me in there, and I just kicked it in the room for I don't know how long. And then I was like, oh, shoot, I got to go. I was in there, and time was passing. I had to get back over to my set. I had lost track of time. I was like, oh, my God. But anyway, that was one of the coolest days I've ever had in my life, was hanging out with those guys.
Oh, yeah, I can imagine.
So nice. Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
And then you got to be in Michael Jackson's Beat It video.
Yeah. I've got another cool story with that. When I was roommates with a guy named Jeffrey Daniel, who was a good friend of mine, and he was married to a singer by the name of Stephanie Mills.
Oh, yeah.
And Jeffrey was, pretty famous himself because he was in a group called Shalimar.
Yep.
So I was living in L.A., and Jeffrey and Stephanie broke up. So I was driving back home. I drove down my driveway to the back where the garage was, and I parked the car in the garage. I got out, and there was a back stairwell to my house where I was.
Mm-hmm.
And so as I came out of the garage, I'm walking down, and I'm going to go up the back stairwell, and I see Jeffrey sitting there with all his luggage. And I'm like, what are you doing? He goes, man, me and Stephanie broke up. I'm like, oh, my God. So I had a 2-bedroom place, so he asked if he could come stay there. So I said, oh, cool.
Yeah.
So he ended up coming and living with me. Anyway, Jeffrey was a big-time guy from Soul Train, because that's where Shalimar had started.
Right.
So he used to teach me all these dance moves and stuff. And long story short, he taught me this thing called, at the time was called backsliding, and what has eventually become what's called the moonwalk. So I was enamored with that thing, and he used to pop lock and not break, but pop lock and all these other dances, and because he was a big-time Soul Train dancer, so he would teach me this stuff, and he taught me that backslide. So I ended up getting this movie called Streets of Fire. And I shot this movie, and we had a performance in the movie to a song called I Can Dream About You, which was like a big hit from that movie. And when we went to choreograph the concert performance of that song, I added all these dance steps, these dance moves that I had been doing and taught the guys how to do. Mm-hmm. And then I told the choreographer, I want to put this in here. I want to, backslide. So that ultimately ended up being in the movie. Now, Michael saw that, and he wanted to learn how to do it. So he got a hold of Jeffrey Daniel, and this is just all coincidence. Jeffrey was living with me, and he became Michael's choreographer with all the break dancers that you saw in the video. Right. And so I used to go to the rehearsals, and he's teaching Mike how to, pop, lock, and do the backslide. So I would go to rehearsals all the time, hang out with them, and then when shooting came to shoot the video, we were all in Michael's trailer. And so Michael's getting ready to go out, and he's like, hey, Stoney, why don't you be in the video? And I'm like, man, I'm not going to be in the video. I'm not going to do it. I was an actor. I wasn't going to be, like, in a video. It didn't make sense to me. And so he kept saying, be in the video, man. Just be in the video. And I was like, golly, I don't know. So then we had gone on the set, and the director of the video, I guess the guy knew who I was. He had seen me in some things. So he goes, hey, you want to be in it? I'm like, I don't know. And then Jeffrey's looking at me, Michael's looking at me, I'm like, okay. So then Bob, the director, he was like, I'll just stick you in stuff. You just go here, go there, and that's it. So that's how I ended up being the video. So It wasn't anything that I got. I just did it because Michael said, hey, you want to be in the video? Yeah. So I ended up being that video. And then, I don't know, man, a lot of people recognized me from that video. It was weird. And Bob just kept sticking me in shots here and there. And that's how I ended up in it.
Yeah, was there any feeling that this video was going to become as iconic as it's become?
I don't know if you ever realized that something's going to be really that big or iconic, but yes, for the most part, we knew this was going to be something special. It was special. And when he was shooting it, it was just like, when Mike would come out and just do his thing, I mean, man, you would get goosebumps just watching, like a lot of the shots, especially in the pool hall. Yeah. By the pool table, I'm like right by the camera, and I'm just watching this whole thing, man, just in awe of this guy. It was just amazing. Michael Jackson was one of the most amazing, one of the most thoughtful, generous, beautiful human beings that you could possibly ever imagine meeting. Mm-hmm. And what happened to him, towards the end of his life, and all the accusations were just so mean, so cruel. People just didn't really know. This guy had a heart of gold.
Yeah.
He was not at all like everybody was trying to make him out to be. He really was a genuinely beautiful person, beautiful human being.
Yeah, I believe he was a great guy, you know, and that, you know, when he started getting all that plastic surgery and what have you and stuff, I believe that he was, you know, scared of his dad. That's why he did it, because he looked in the mirror and saw him every time, you know.
I don't know. I mean, you can speculate on any of that stuff, but
yeah,
I just know I didn't like all the plastic surgery, but who knows why he really did it. He's really the only one that knows why he did it.
Yeah.
And, you know, we can all speculate, but it doesn't matter. Bottom line, he was a genuinely beautiful man, person, just a great guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love Streets of Fire. To me, it's one of the most underrated movies of the 80s. It seems like Walter Hill and Jules Silver had put this movie to so much into it, so much work, and then I guess Universal didn't market it correctly, and that's why it didn't do as well, or maybe it was just ahead of its time. I don't know.
I think a little of everything you just said. And you know that it was supposed to be a trilogy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was supposed to be 3 movies.
Oh, that would have been good.
I know. So had it been successful, there were going to be 2 more.
Did Dan Hartman like that rendition you guys did of the song?
I would assume he did, because it was a hit.
Yeah.
And it was pretty much a hit because of what we did.
Yeah, because that song is so great, and Dan Hartman was so great. It's so sad that people don't even remember him anymore, you know.
Yeah. He had a big song out called Instant Replay. Do you remember that?
Yeah, it's kind of a disco tune.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I remember that. And of course, he was in the Edgar Winter group and did Free Ride, you know.
Yeah.
And all that stuff. I mean, he did a lot of good stuff, that guy.
Yeah.
He
ended up working on his video, because the version that we did in the movie, they cut video from that version.
Right.
And then he and his label wanted everybody to know who he was, and that was actually his song. So he did a video himself, performing it.
Right.
And he asked us, invited us to be in his video. So we made a little appearance in the video for him.
Right. I've talked to the actress Joyce Heiser, who was his love interest in the video and stuff. She said she had a great time making that video in England. Then you did Knights of the City. How was that shoot?
That was another one of those movies that my friend Leon Isaac Kennedy wrote that movie and produced it. So one day he called me up and he goes, "Hey man, I'm going to do a movie down in Florida," and somehow my agent was involved in the movie as well. So this was another one of those coincidental, ironic kind of things. So there was no actual part in the movie for me. Mm-hmm. Leon says, "Man, I want you to come do the movie." He goes, "I'll write stuff in it for you as we go." I go, "Okay," because it was like a gang thing. It was easily to like add a character, so that's pretty much what he did. He added this character in the movie, and he wrote lines here and there for me in some of the scenes. And Nicholas Campbell was actually one of the leads in the movie. Mm-hmm. And he and I ultimately ended up doing The Insiders together.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we did it right after we had shot Knights of the City. So we were down there in Florida. We shot in Miami for like 3 to 4 months. We were down there in Miami, Fort Lauderdale, and we just had a blast down there. Mm-hmm. Huge blast. Smokey Robinson was in the movie. Sammy Davis Jr. was in the movie. I got to hang around with that guy. And he's just another man who was just another beautiful human being. Mm-hmm. And just hanging out with him back. He invited me over to his house. I met, his wife. Got to go over to his house and stuff. So that was a really cool experience.
Yeah.
Then, go ahead.
I was going to say Curtis Blow is in it.
Yeah, Curtis Blow. A whole lot of people in there.
Janine Turner when she was young.
Yep. She ended up doing, Northern Exposure right after that?
Right. It also...
Even Alec Baldwin. I think she was engaged to Alec Baldwin at one point.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody really knew who he was. He was like an up-and-coming actor.
Yeah.
He came out to the set and hung out with her, so got to meet him before he was him.
Yeah. And also one of your co-stars from The White Shadow, John Mingotti.
John Mingotti, yeah. He was in it too.
Yeah, whatever happened to that guy?
I have no idea.
Yeah, because he was always playing those Brooklyn bad boys back then.
Yeah. He was Mr. New York.
Yeah. How about the immortal classic Jocks?
Oh my God.
I used to watch this movie on USA Up All Night when I was a kid.
Was that the name that it ended up being called? I remember it was called, at one point it was called Road Trip. But I think it came out as Jocks.
Yeah. With
wow.
you, Perry Lang, Christopher Lee. Yeah,
we had fun shooting that in Vegas too. But when we shot that in Vegas, we shot it like in the winter.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people don't understand. Las Vegas in the winter time is bone-chilling cold. It was freezing.
Yeah.
And it was a movie about this tennis team from this university. We go to Vegas to play in this tournament.
Mm-hmm. And
then our rival team was like much better than us, so we used tricks to try to beat them and win our way to get to the championship. So, yeah, that was a fun movie. I would say it was a fun movie to do.
Yeah, I was reading the budget was so low, you guys didn't have any permits to shoot anywhere. Yeah, you guys shot it in like 4 weeks too. It was a quick shoot.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
How did you get on the last season, the 227?
Well, I did a pilot called Baywatch.
Of course.
Panic at Malibu Pier. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was called Baywatch Panic at Malibu Pier. It was a 2-hour pilot for NBC. So I was one of the lifeguards in it, and I was supposed to be a regular on it, so got picked up, which it did. Then I went out and auditioned for 227. Mm-hmm. So I probably went into the network auditioning for that thing like 8 times, which is like really crazy. So I kept going in. Then I ultimately got it, the part. Mm-hmm. And Chris Rock was in there too. He was like up there with me, but I ended up getting it. And then I had the Baywatch. So they were like, well, why don't you just do 227? So I didn't end up going to do Baywatch, which I probably would have been better off doing Baywatch, because look what happened with that show. And at the time, Barry Sobel had a contract with NBC. Mm-hmm. He was this white comic who had like this black shtick.
Yeah.
Stand-up.
Yep.
So he was really, really green. So NBC didn't really know what to do with him. They gave him a development deal, but they wanted to develop him. They wanted him to get experience being on TV, and they didn't know where to put him. So they stuck him on 2 through 7, which was kind of weird. So they stuck him on there, and then they said, all right, well, we need a roommate for him, somebody that can, he can buddy with.
Yeah.
When they were going to spin him off of 2 through 7. And I got the part, so I ended up being like, his roommate. And they were going to spin us off on 227.
Mm-hmm.
Then there were some issues that he had with the network, not to badmouth him or anything like that, but it didn't work out, so we didn't get the TV show.
Wow, and this was after Jack A had left for a spinoff, and it didn't even get past the pilot.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So was there a lot of tension on the set?
No, not at all.
It was pretty controlled then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess the tension had cleared once Jack A left, because I heard Marla Gibbs were arguing a lot before she left or something.
Well, or at least I, didn't really see any of that stuff that went on between the two of them.
Yeah.
So at the time I was doing it, I really didn't know that was going on. I didn't find out really about it until afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
And
so it was a good...
That ended up being the last season, which sucked because that was a good show. It was a lot of fun to do.
Yeah, it was a really good show. But that's good, though, you got to see the best of it while you were there.
Yep.
And then you did another Walter Hill movie I love called Trespass.
Oh, I love that movie.
Yeah. How was that shoot?
Loved it. And Walter wanted me to play the part that Ice-T did.
Mm-hmm.
And Universal was like, no, we need a bigger name. That's what Walter told me. He goes, that's why I didn't end up doing that part that Ice-T did, because Ice-T had a bigger name, a bigger actor.
Mm-hmm.
Ice Cube got brought in, and that was that. So Walter was like, well, I still want you in the movie, so I'm going to create a bump for you. I go, okay. He goes, don't worry about it. Just go home. We'll be in touch. So that's how I got to stay in Trespass. He wrote that part in for me.
Oh, that's
and the
good.
same kind of thing happened too. A few years afterwards, I did an episode of Tales from the Crypt with him. He directed it.
Mm-hmm.
I think he was one of the producers on it too.
Yeah,
he brought me in. He goes, "Hey, I got a part for you. I want you to do on Tales from the Crypt." I go, "Okay." So me and Mark DeCostos played these two fighters, these cage fighters, back just before like all that UFC stuff started coming out.
Yeah.
And Walter then came to me and he said, "Hey man, I got a movie that I'm going to do." He called me up and I went and had lunch with him at his office at Paramount. And he goes, "I got a movie." He goes, "How's your boxing?" I said, "I'm boxing." He goes, "What are you weighing right now?" So I told him. And then he goes, "All right, I don't want you to do anything, but I'm probably going to need you to cut your hair." I go, "Okay." And he really wouldn't give me too much detail on what the movie was, but he did tell me. He says, I got a film that I'm going to do. And he goes, "You get along with Wesley?" I said, "Yeah." He's me, Wesley Snipes.
Yeah.
So, yep. He goes, "Okay, cool. I'll be in touch with you." And he gets back to me and he goes, "I've been trying to push you to star in this movie with Wesley." I think it was called Undisputed. And once again, studio said, "No, we need a bigger name." I'm like, oh my God. So they ended up getting Ving Rhames.
Oh.
Yeah. So he and Wesley did it instead of me.
Ah, that's terrible. That's terrible.
I had some horrible luck, man, but I've also had some good luck too. But anyway, yeah. And you know what's funny too? I did a movie. Well, I got the year that I got the pilot for The Insiders.
Mm-hmm.
It was a Universal show, and so I went out for that pilot. And when my first audition, I go to the studio, and my first audition is with the producers of the show. So I didn't have to go like normal actors go to meet the cast, direct, and all that stuff first, because I've been working and establish myself, I could go straight to the producers. So I go into the office, and when I go in there, Nick Campbell, who I had done Nights of the City with, sitting in there. I'm like, hey, what are you doing, man? And he got up, he gave me a big hug, and we just chatted up, and you got like probably 11 producers sitting in there, some executives from Universal, and we're there just like, chatting it up, because I hadn't seen him since we shot the movie.
Yeah.
And he goes, yeah, I'm starring in this, man. And I go, okay, cool. So my scene that I had prepared for was all with him. So he was who I was going to be reading with, the actual, star, which is really, pretty much unheard of. You don't really usually audition with the lead actor in the show when you go in. So I got to read with him, and we just hit it off. Just our chemistry, we hit it off. And so after audition was over, I go back home. A few days later, you hear back, hey, they want to see you again. So I go back in, I read with them again. I go home, and they call me back and they say, hey, they want you to go test for the network. So I go back in, and I go in front of the network, and I go in front of all the Universal brass, and, I had another great audition. Go back home, they go, hey, they want to put you on film now. They want to film you and Nick, which is kind of like the old screen test kind of stuff, which they didn't really do anymore in Hollywood, and they wanted to screen test me and Nick. So at the time, I didn't really know all the behind-the-scenes stuff that was going on. So what I ended up finding out was they had shot a pilot the season before with Nicholas. It was called Dark Horse. And Nicholas was like the sole star, but there was another character on the show who was kind of like a partner to him, but it was like, I don't want to say insignificant, but it wasn't like a main lead role with Nick. It was just a guy that he would go and call on. And it was played by another actor who did the pilot, so they didn't pick up the Dark Horse pilot. So what they were doing was they were redoing this pilot. So they revamped it, and that's when I came in and started reading for what became the Insiders. So we did this screen test. I come out. I don't know if it was the next day, but somewhere shortly thereafter, I get a call, from my agent that says, hey, they want to book you. So in the meantime, while I was auditioning in these 2 weeks, I had gone out on other auditions. So I had auditioned for another pilot called Stir Crazy, which was a Richard Pryor film.
Right.
And I went in, read for the part that Richard Pryor did. I booked it. I got that part. So I actually had both pilots at the same time. And then they asked me, well, what do you want to do? And I was like, I'm going to do the Insider pilot because, with Nick, I thought it was a better show. I thought I had a better chance of getting picked up as a series. And so I made that choice and with the Insiders. Now, the reason why I was going with that story was because it ties into the Wesley Snipes thing. I had auditioned for Goldie Hawn in a movie called Wildcats.
Oh yeah.
It was like a white shadow, but on a football field, and with a white lady coach instead of the white guy coach. So I auditioned for that movie, and I got it. So that movie wasn't going to start shooting until August, and pilot season in Hollywood is like February. And I had just gotten the movie, and then I got the pilot, and we shot the pilot, and then shortly thereafter, they called and said, hey, the show's been picked up. We got an initial pickup for 13 episodes. I'm like, this is awesome. So what they were doing with it, because Miami Vice had been on for the season. It was also a Universal show, but it was on a different network. And they were like, well, we want to do this show now as a buddy show. So you and Nick are going to be buddies, a buddy show, co-starring with each other, and not just you being like this sidekick. And they were trying to do that because that was ABC's kind of way of copycatting Miami Vice, so to speak.
Yeah.
So the show had a huge budget and all these brilliant director, photographer, and lighting people, and everything. It was a huge budget for this show. And then one day they brought me in and they said, listen, the motorhome that we have for you is exactly 12 inches shorter than Nicholas's. Are you going to have a problem with that? Mm-hmm. I'm like, what? You brought me in here, drive all the way over to this studio to ask me if I'd be okay with a motorhome that's 12 inches shorter than Nicholas. We just don't want any problems. Then they raised my money up. I'm like, oh my God. So, man, it was pretty cool. So I'm like, I'm happy and grateful, you know, that I'm on the show. And they were just, there were problems, you know, with obviously with Philip Michael Thomas not getting the same kind of money that Don Johnson was getting. And Don Johnson was like the breakout star on that show. And
yeah.
Philip was now kind of taking a back seat. And they just didn't want any problems like that to happen on this show. So they kind of started making me more equal with Nick. And that's what they did. So it was really cool.
Yeah, wow. And you know, it's funny, Wildcats was the first movie that Woody Harrelson and Wesley Snipes did together. And so if that had been you would have been in White Men Can't Jump and Money Train.
That's possible because I can play basketball like Wesley can't.
Yeah.
And that's funny that you say that because that's what I was going to tell you about Wesley Snipes. That was Wesley's first movie, and he got to do that movie because I couldn't.
Right.
When my pilot got picked up, we were going to start shooting in June, and I couldn't shoot the movie and the pilot at the same time. So that's why I had to give up the movie that I got. I was so upset about that because it was going to give me another chance to work with my best friend, Michael T. Williamson. Mm-hmm. And he was in the movie as well, so we were going to get a chance to work again. So we worked together in Streets of Fire, and we did a couple other things together too, but he's still my best friend to this day.
Oh, he was Bubba Gump, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Sure was.
Yeah. He's become iconic from that role.
He was in Streets of Fire. We did that together. He was one of the guys in the group.
And also Robert Townsend.
Robert Townsend and Grand Bush.
Oh, yeah, Grand Bush. I reached out to him about 2 years ago, and I never heard back from him, unfortunately. But, yeah, it's a good cast.
Hey, I'll reach out to him and tell him he should do your show.
Oh, I'd appreciate that, Stoney. I really would.
I'll do that when we get off.
Awesome. I'm almost done here, so I wanted to ask you, I remember you played a record producer on Family Matters with Tracy Spencer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that what I was? A record producer, or was I, or her manager? Or?
It was either one, a record producer or a manager, one of the two.
Yeah.
And it's still one of my favorite episodes. Was that fun to do?
That was actually fun to do, yeah.
Yeah, the scene where Eddie sings with her on Tender Kisses is so great, and your reaction looks genuine, you know, in that scene. Like, God, they both can sing, you know.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, and of course, Waldo, he shoots out of the cannon into the hotel room window.
You remember it better than I do.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that episode 1,000 times. I've seen it, you know, in syndication year after year, ever since the first night it premiered.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's funny. I think I've only seen it once.
Yeah, it's been on a lot, that particular episode. And it's on YouTube, too, of course.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I wasn't really a big Family Matters fan. I don't think I watched that show when it was on.
Yeah.
But, you know, yeah, I don't think I watched it, but
it was a job.
Yeah, it was cool. It was cool. Yeah.
And how was
the cast was great.
Yeah, they were supposed to be at some Comic-Con I was going to go to last year, and then the con ended up getting canceled, unfortunately.
Mm.
But how was working on Angel 4 Undercover?
Oh God, I don't even remember. Who was in that?
Darlene Vogel, she played the title role, and Roddy McDowell, Samantha Phillips.
Oh my God, I don't even remember that movie. I remember, but I don't remember.
Yeah,
remember.
I just talked to Darlene about a month ago on here and stuff, and she was really cool. And,
yeah, she's nice. I remember her.
Yeah. She was good to work with?
Yeah. They haven't really had too many films or TV shows that didn't really have or really didn't have a nice time doing.
Mm-hmm. With the exception of probably The White Shadows, probably the only one, right?
Well, I'm sure there were another couple, but yeah, I really didn't enjoy doing that show at all.
That's sad. It was a good show, too. Most people don't even remember it today.
Yeah, a lot of people don't remember it. But you know what? Everybody thinks because it's a basketball show that you got to shoot around basketball all the time. We never got to play.
Oh. So, did you turn to producing?
I am currently, yes, that's what I'm doing now. There's a new television series that I'm doing called Sangre Negra. It means black blood in Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
Although it's an English show, we have a Spanish title, and that's a whole long story I don't want to go into. But me and two other friends of mine, the director, who's our main guy, our showrunner, his name is Frank Pinnock, and then another friend of mine who's the head writer on the show, his name is Antonio McKay, and he's also one of the producers and a real good friend of mine, and the star of the show. And so we're doing 8 episodes. We had like 3 scenes left to shoot on episode 8, and then this pandemic happened, and we had to shut it down. So we're hoping as soon as this is over, we can go and pick up those last 3 scenes and get episode 8 edited. And we have a non-exclusive deal with the LMA network, which is Robert Rodriguez's network. Mm-hmm. And because it's non-exclusive, what we're hoping is that the show will get picked up by Netflix, Hulu, and all of the other streaming services, which we're confident in that happening. But
that's good.
That's a really cool show. I think you're going to like that show a lot.
Yeah, it sounds like it might be pretty good,
Yeah. We just signed Richard Grieco. He's going to come on and do it with us.
Nice.
Mario Lopez is coming on to do it with us. We got Eric Roberts is in it, Eric Estrada. We got some old school guys in the show. It's going to be pretty cool.
Yeah, Richard Grieco, he's starting to become the comeback kid,
Yeah, he's going to do it. Matter of fact, those last 3 scenes that we have in episode 8, that's where he's going to come in. And we weren't able to shoot it. So as soon as we're out of this pandemic, we're going to get back out there and do those last few scenes with Richard, and we'll be ready to go. So our first season is 8 episodes, and it's going to be good. It's a pretty cool show.
Awesome.
Like crime drama.
Yeah.
A lot of murder, a lot of sex. That's what everybody wants to see.
Yeah, pretty much. That's awesome. I wish you a lot of success with that,
Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Well, Stoney, I thank you so much for coming on today. And, let me know what Gran says. I'd love to have him on.
Okay. Yeah, I'll text him right after this and let him know.
Awesome.
Hopefully he'll say, yeah, I'll do it.
Awesome. Well, you have yourself a great night over there, and stay safe during this crazy time.
Hey, where are you located?
Redding, California.
Oh, all right. So you're up north.
Yeah, up north.
All right. Well, thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. Had a great conversation with you. Mm-hmm. And let me know.
My pleasure, yes.
And I'll reach out to Gran.
Awesome. Thank you, sir. Have a great night.
Okay, you too. Thank you. Bye.
Okay, bye. Well, there you have it. Stoney Jackson. Ain't he a cool dude? Nice guy. I like him a lot. Great stories. Show business. It's crazy. If you like this video, everyone, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Add me as a friend on Facebook. Join my Tommy Kovac comedian page on Facebook. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram and all that fun stuff. Well, that's all the time we have this week on Splat from the Past. Until next time, this is Tommy Throwback Kovac saying there's no shame in living in the past because the present sucks. Later, dudes.